Okay, close your eyes for a second.
Hmm.
Just imagine you are standing on a platform
Hmm.
and the air is thick, humid, smelling of hot iron and grease. In front of you is this massive, thundering machine, a train. It's loud, it's shaking the ground beneath your feet.
Right. Yeah.
Now, here's the reality check. This train isn't your morning commute. This train is your mind, and it is absolutely packed.
Standing room only.
Standing room only. Some of the passengers are great. You've got joy, excitement, that old friend nostalgia looking out the window. They make the ride worth it. But then there are the stowaways.
Ah, the
The
stowaway.
ones who didn't buy a ticket but forced their way on
Yeah.
anyway. Anger, guilt, anxiety. They're crowding the aisles, knocking over the luggage, and just bang on the door to the engine room.
It's a visceral image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that noise, that chaos, that is what it feels like to be human most days.
Yeah.
And most of us, when we feel that shaking ground, we assume our position is in the passenger car.
Yeah.
You're strapped in, white-knuckling the armrest, and just praying the train doesn't derail. We feel completely at the mercy of whoever or whatever decides to board that day. But the framework we are exploring today flips that entire script.
Yeah.
It suggests that you have never been the passenger.
You're not the passenger.
You are and always have been the conductor.
See, I want to believe that. I
Yeah.
really do. But let's be real for a second. When I'm in the middle of a spiral, when I've had a bad day, I'm tired, and my brain is just looping on everything I did wrong, I don't feel like a conductor.
No.
I feel like the guy tied to the tracks. The idea of control feels like a fantasy.
That feeling of being tied to the tracks, that is what we call emotional burnout. It's what happens when the regulation system fails. But here's the thing. Emotional regulation isn't about brute force. It isn't about wrestling grief to the ground or
Oh.
throwing frustration out the window while the train is moving 90 miles an hour.
Right, crap.
You will crash. Being the conductor is about understanding the mechanics of the engine. It's about knowing that there are 5 specific distinct points where you can pull a lever and, change the course of the ride. We call this the process model of emotion regulation.
Okay, so let's look at the schematics. Because usually when I think about handling my emotions, I think about what I do after I've already exploded or started crying. I think about the cleanup.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest mistake people make. They think regulation is damage control.
Yeah.
But the process model shows us that regulation starts way before the emotion is even fully formed. It happens on a timeline. And the first stop on that timeline, the most powerful lever you have, is stage 1. Situation selection.
Situation selection. Okay, so this sounds like the pre-game strategy.
It is.
Yeah.
This is about choosing your emotional environment before the trigger even exists. It's looking at the map and deciding which stations you're actually willing to stop at.
So practically speaking, this means avoiding things. Because to me, that sounds a little bit like running away.
If I just avoid everything that stresses me out, am I actually regulating my emotions, or am I just hiding from the world?
That is a fair pushback. And there is a fine line between healthy curation and avoidance. But think about it in terms of, resource management. You have a limited amount of emotional fuel every day.
Okay.
Let's say you have a friend, we all have that one friend, who thrives on chaos. Every time you see them, it's drama, it's gossip, it's complaining. You leave that interaction feeling drained, anxious, maybe a little cynical.
Oh, I know that feeling. It's like a hangover without the party.
Exactly. So situation selection isn't about cutting everyone off and living in a cave. It's about making a conscious calculation. It's saying, I have a big project due tomorrow. I cannot afford to spend 3 hours at the drama station today.
Ah.
So you alter the schedule. You decline the invite. You aren't suppressing the irritation you feel around that friend. You are preventing the irritation from ever booting up. It is the most efficient form of regulation because the cost is 0. The emotion never even happened.
That makes sense. It's defense. But life doesn't always let us play defense.
Right.
I can't situation selection my way out of a mandatory meeting with a difficult boss. I can't choose not to go to Thanksgiving dinner just because my uncle is going to start a political argument. Sometimes you are trapped on the train.
You are. And when you cannot choose the schedule, you move to stage 2. Situation modification.
Okay.
This is where you find agency within the trap. The train has left the station. You are in the car with the difficult boss or the loud uncle. You cannot leave, but you can change the environment around you.
How? I mean, if I'm in a meeting and my boss is grilling me, I can't exactly start rearranging the furniture.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
We underestimate how much our physical senses drive our emotions. Let's take the meeting. If your phone is on the table, face up flashing notifications.
Oh, yeah. Constant distraction.
Right. That is adding a layer of low-level anxiety to an already tense situation. Modification is flipping the phone over. It's closing the laptop so you aren't distracted. It's even choosing where you sit. Maybe not directly across from the person who intimidates you, but to the side, which psychologically feels less confrontational.
So it's like micro adjustments.
Precisely. Think about the coming home from work scenario.
Yeah.
You walk in, you're stressed, you're tired, the house is a mess, toys on the floor, dishes in the sink. That visual clutter signals chaos to your brain. It keeps your cortisol, the stress hormone, spiking.
And usually I just ignore it. I collapse on the couch and scroll through my phone because I'm too tired to deal with it.
Which is a missed opportunity for modification. Taking 5 minutes to clear the table or dim the lights isn't just a chore. It is an external regulation strategy.
Huh.
You are physically altering the space to signal to your brain, we are safe, we are calm. You are clearing the debris off the tracks so the train can glide instead of rattle.
Okay, so we've tried to choose the situation, we've tried to modify the room, but sometimes the trigger happens anyway.
It does.
The boss yells, the uncle says something offensive, the car breaks down. The external world has done its worst. Now, the problem is inside my head.
Welcome to stage 3, attentional deployment. This is the crossroads. This is where the battle is usually won or lost. The stowaway is in the seat next to you screaming.
Right.
The question is, where do you point your eyes?
This is where I struggle, because when something bad happens, my brain wants to stare at it. It's like a car crash. I can't look away. I replay the comment over and over. Or I do the opposite. I pull out my phone and I doom scroll for an hour to try and numb it out. And honestly, sometimes that distraction feels like it saves me. Are you telling me I shouldn't distract myself?
This is nuanced. There is a massive debate about distraction. Here's the rule of thumb. Distraction is a useful shield, but a terrible shelter.
A shield, not shelter. Okay.
If you are about to lose your temper in a meeting, shifting your attention to the pattern on the carpet or thinking about what you're having for dinner is a great tactical move. It buys you time. It lowers the temperature.
Okay, so distraction is allowed.
It is allowed as a pause button. But what you describe, the doom scrolling, the numbing, that is avoidance.
Ah.
You aren't processing the emotion. You're just burying it alive. And on the flip side, you mentioned replaying the comment. That's rumination. That's fixation.
Yeah, the mental argument, where I win the fight in the shower 3 hours later.
That is essentially locking yourself in the cabin with the angry passenger and letting them scream at you for hours. Neither distraction nor rumination actually solves the problem. The healthy version of attentional deployment is what we call mindful attention, or affect labeling.
Affect labeling. That sounds technical.
It's surprisingly simple. It just means naming the emotion. I am feeling frustrated right now. I am feeling humiliated.
That sounds too easy. How does saying I'm mad actually help? It feels like stating the obvious.
It's biology. When you are highly emotional, your amygdala, the lizard brain, the alarm system, is going haywire. It has hijacked the controls.
It's taken over?
It's taken over. And when you force yourself to put a word to the feeling, you have to engage your prefrontal cortex, the logical language center of the brain. You are literally forcing the adult part of your brain to come back online. You are taking the controls back from the panic button.
So by saying it, I'm breaking the trance.
You are stepping back. You are shifting from being the anger to observing the anger. It creates a tiny bit of distance. I notice that my chest is tight. I notice I'm clenching my jaw. You're watching the passenger, not becoming the passenger.
Okay, so I've named it. I'm anxious. My prefrontal cortex is flickering back to life, but the feeling is still there. The situation still sucks.
This brings us to stage 4, right? Because now I have to actually deal with the information.
Stage 4, cognitive change. This is the heavy lifting. This is where we change the meaning of the event.
This is the one that makes me nervous. Because a lot of advice here sounds like, well, it sounds like toxic positivity.
Yes.
Oh, you got fired. Yeah. Just look at it as a chaotic vacation. It feels like gaslighting yourself. How do we do this without lying to ourselves?
I am so glad you brought that up. Cognitive change is not about delusion. It is not about painting a smiley face on a disaster.
Good.
That is fragile. It breaks the moment reality hits. Real cognitive change is about reappraisal. It's about changing the lens on the camera.
Give me an example. Let's stick with the work failure. I messed up a presentation. I feel shame.
Okay. The automatic thought, the stowaway passenger, is screaming, "You are a failure. You always mess up. You're going to get fired." That is one interpretation of the data. It is a very narrow, catastrophic lens.
And it feels true in the moment.
It feels true, but is it the whole truth?
Yeah.
Reappraisal asks you to zoom out. A wider lens might show, I messed up the specific slide, but the rest of the presentation was solid. Or, I am inexperienced in this area, and this failure highlighted exactly what I need to learn to get better.
So it's not saying I'm great, it's saying I'm learning. Exactly. It's replacing a conclusion, I am a failure, with a hypothesis, I need to prepare differently next time.
Mm.
You aren't ignoring the negative facts, you are recontextualizing them.
You're telling a different story about them.
You're telling a different story about what the facts mean. The
Hmm.
conductor comes over the intercom and says, folks, we hit a bump, it was rough, but the wheels are still on the track and we are still moving.
That shift from this is who I am to this is something that happened is huge. It feels
Yeah.
like taking the weight out of the backpack.
It fundamentally changes the chemical reaction in your body.
Right.
If you believe I am a failure, your body prepares for a funeral. It shuts down.
Right.
If you believe I made a mistake I can fix, your body prepares for work. It gives you energy.
But sometimes we miss all the off-ramps. We didn't choose the situation. We couldn't modify it. We got stuck in rumination. We couldn't reframe it. The train is screaming into the station, sparks flying. We are at stage 5, response modulation.
The final frontier. This is the output. This is what you actually do with the emotion. This is the shouting match, the slammed door, the crying in the bathroom, or it's something else.
Usually by the time I get here, I feel like it's too late. If the anger is already at a 10, how do I modulate it? It feels like trying to cap a volcano.
This is where we have to talk about the physical body again. Response modulation is often misunderstood as suppression. People think it means swallowing the anger and smiling.
Don't do that.
That is dangerous. That's how you get ulcers. That's how the train explodes.
Yeah.
Healthy modulation is about changing the physiology of the response so you can choose your action.
So not stuffing it down, but not vomiting it out either.
Think about the mechanism. When you are ready to snap, your sympathetic nervous system is redlining. Your heart rate is up. Your breathing is shallow. You physically cannot access empathy or logic.
No, you're just pure reaction.
Pure reaction. The most effective tool here is the physiological sigh, or just deep diaphragmatic breathing.
We hear take a deep breath. So often it sounds like a cliche. But why does it actually work?
It works because of the vagus nerve. This is a nerve that runs from your brain down to your gut. When you take a long, slow exhale, longer than the inhale, you are physically stimulating that nerve. You are manually hitting the brakes on your heart rate.
Huh.
It is a biological override. You're forcing the body to downshift from fight or flight to rest and digest.
So before I send the text, before I yell at the partner, I breathe.
You breathe. You create a physical gap between the impulse and the action. And in that gap, you choose a response that serves you. Instead of screaming, you're an idiot, which relieves your anger for 2 seconds but destroys the relationship.
Yeah, long-term damage.
You might say, I am incredibly frustrated right now and I need 20 minutes to cool down before we talk.
That is such a power move.
It is. It's the ultimate conductor move.
Mm.
You acknowledge the passenger, I am frustrated. But you don't let the passenger drive. You say, sit down. We are parking the train for 20 minutes. You are protecting the destination. You aren't letting a temporary emotion cause permanent damage.
It's funny, looking at these 5 stages, selection, modification, attention, cognition, response, it creates this whole map, but it also makes me realize how often I'm just asleep at the wheel. I'm just reacting.
That is the default human setting. We are wired to react. Regulation is a learned skill. It is a muscle.
Right.
You don't go to the gym once and bench press 300 pounds. You will fail at this.
Yeah.
You will try to situation select and end up avoiding things you need to do. You will try to reframe and end up spiraling. That is okay.
It's a practice, not a switch.
It is a practice. And the more you do it, the slower the train feels. You start to see the stations coming. You realize, oh, I can get off here. I don't have to ride this all the way to the crash site.
I want to ask you a question for the listeners who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all this. We've given them 5 different levers to pull. If I'm terrible at this, if I'm just starting out as a conductor, where do I start? What is the MVP of emotional regulation?
If you can only do one thing, focus on stage 1, situation selection.
Back to the beginning.
Back to the very beginning. It is the upstream solution. If you know that lack of sleep makes you emotional, prioritize sleep. If you know that certain news channels make you angry, turn them off. If you know that checking email in bed ruins your morning, buy an alarm clock and leave the phone in the kitchen.
Fix the environment and you don't have to fix the emotion.
Correct. It saves you the most energy. But if you are already in the fire, if the emotion is already high, Forget the intellectual stuff. Go straight to stage 5. Breathe.
Just breathe.
Do not speak. Do not type. Just breathe until your pulse drops. Don't try to think your way out of a panic attack. Breathe your way out.
That is really helpful. Bookend the process. Curate the start and breathe through the end.
And forgive yourself for the mess in the middle.
That might be the most important part.
I think so.
So we're pulling back into the station now. The steam is clearing, the brakes are cooling. I want you, the listener, to check in with your own train. Where are you right now? And more importantly, I want you to look at these 5 stages and ask yourself, which one is my sticking point?
Are you the conductor who is afraid to change the schedule? Or are you the conductor who forgets they have a break?
Here is my challenge for you this week. Pick one lever, just one. Maybe you decide to declutter your desk before you start work. Modification. Maybe you decide to label your feelings instead of ignoring them. Attention. Just try one small adjustment to the tracks. See if it changes the ride.
You might find that the passengers settle down once they realize someone is actually driving the train.
I love that. Thank you for riding with us on this deep dive. We'll see you on the next journey.
Safe travels.